Well, we're about a month into the NFL season, and as you might have guessed, there are some QB football card prices that are not doing great. We're going to talk about that, and one surprise that has popped out of nowhere for football card collectors. Stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? It's another day. It's another sports card video. We just had, the Saints for the second week in a row. My New Orleans Saints fell to the Falcons. We had a heartbreaker to the Eagles last week, another close game. We started 2-0. We're now 2-2. And these are the kind of games you look back. If I go back to last season, it was the third or fourth game of the year. I think we were 2-0, and we played the Packers. We were up 17-0 into the fourth. They ended up beating us 18-17. And at the time, it was like, you know what? We're 2-1, or maybe we were 3-1, or whatever it was, 2-2. But we ended up losing the tiebreaker at the end of the season. We were 9-8, our record, and the Packers were also 9-8. But because they came back and beat us last second, they made it into the playoffs. We did not. And they were actually going deep into the playoffs. They almost made it. They almost made it all the way. So it just shows you in the NFL, these close games, they really do matter at the end of the season. That's what makes me sad about these close ones. Yes, it's a long season. Yes, you can make it up, but you cannot get to the playoffs if you're constantly losing close games. So we'll see what happens with the Saints. Half of our starters are injured, literally. Taysom Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, our starting center is out for 6 to 8 weeks. It's been a barrage. Kamara's beat up. We've got to somehow get healthy. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night. So not only are we playing an undefeated Chiefs team, but also the ref's favorite team in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. Can we get through them in Arrowhead? Probably not. But hey, we just got to kind of survive this first half of the season, and then the second half, our schedule looks a little bit better. Before I dive into these quarterback prices, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com, a place where you can get football cards, baseball, basketball, all the goodness on COMC. 35 million cards in the database. You can go straight to PSA and grade cards if you'd like. All sorts of different options, auctions, all sorts of goodness. COMC is the place to be. Make sure to check them out. Also, you never graded with PSA before? I've got a $25 off code for you down below in the video description. SCD25 on the shipping and billing screen. I got a link that can help take you there as well. Take advantage. Get $25 off your first PSA submission. SlabMags, you've got wicked cards. Why not outfit them in the best cases? The best cases for UV protection, as well as just making them look awesome. Link down below for 10% off your SlabMag order. All right, I ran some data here using market movers, and it's going back 365 days. So a year going back. And keep in mind when we're looking at this sort of data, it's not taking into account, card show sales and that sort of a thing. It is online sales. We're looking at Silver Prism PSA 10s. And the thing that's kind of amazing to me too, as you look back, we're going to look at Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, as well as Daniel Jones. But the one thing about these PSA 10s, even for like Daniel Jones going back 5 years, there's still not a lot of them, in the grand scheme of things. You think about cards and just how much has been printed and that sort of stuff. A lot of these are a couple hundred on the pop report, so we don't have extensive sales. I actually was thinking about just doing base prism, because even though, of course, it's going to be lower cost, there's just so many more sales. There's a lot more volume. It's a more common card. I was thinking about doing that, and maybe I'll do that moving forward, because the silver prisms, the prism silvers, they're just not as common here, and so it's tough to kind of gauge these. Lamar Jackson was one I was going to run, and actually looking back 365 days, it shows that he's up, I think, 40 or 50%, even though they started the season off tough. But part of the reason is because one hasn't sold in a while. It's a pop 28. Because in 2018, Silver Prism football was short printed, that Lamar Jackson rookie, it carries that extra kind of premium because, again, 28 PSA 10s, just they don't sell very much. All right, so let's start off with Justin Herbert. Chargers quarterback, fighting injuries right now. They just lost to the Chiefs on Sunday. If you look at him, and the thing that's sad about Justin Herbert, he finally has a good coach, but then all of his receivers left in free agency. So he got the coach. He got a great left tackle in the draft with Joe Alt. I think they got Joe Alt in the draft. So they're building. There's building blocks here, but the Chargers desperately need wide receiver talent. And that will be, I think that's going to be an obvious one to address in free agency and the draft coming up here in the offseason, the coming offseason. But you've got his 2020 Prism. Pop 196 and a PSA 10 for the silver Prism. It's sitting at, there's a sale at $930. If I go back a year, that's negative 32%. Pretty decent decline over the last year, but just he didn't do anything really last year to prove himself being elite. The team didn't get over the hump. And this year, starting off injured, there's just not a lot of buzz. There's a lot of guys that I think are hopeful and holding Herbert stuff for better days ahead, but we just haven't seen it, here recently. He's proven himself to be a solid quarterback. It's just, can they put it all together? 2021 Trevor Lawrence, man. This guy's been talked about a lot recently. He's just played awful. It's really, really strange. When he started his rookie season, he had Urban Meyer as quarterback, Urban Meyer as his coach. And Urban Meyer was, I think in Jacksonville, he was caught like at a club with another woman. There's pictures flying around or something with a mistress. Anyway, he had a lousy stint in Jacksonville, Urban Meyer. And so then you've got a new coach comes in the second year. I'm drawing a blank. Peterson comes in, and great coach. I like Peterson. And he has a great second year there, Trevor Lawrence. And of course, the Cards get buzz and all that sort of thing. And it just hasn't been the same. He got paid $275 million contract in the offseason. And this is kind of what happens. In the NFL, you're looking at Deshaun Watson's got $230 million guaranteed. Once you pay these guys, I'm not saying that they quit on football, but a lot of folks in the NFL, they're playing, and look, they're getting beat up in the NFL. They're getting absolutely blasted at every position. So I don't blame guys play your butt off to get into this contract. I just don't know. I feel like guys kind of taper off a little bit as the career goes on, and they're trying to just elongate their career. That's really kind of the main priority. I'm not saying guys don't play hard anymore. A lot of them do, but you also got to think about it too. You're going to put your body on the line all the time, or you're going to kind of save yourself, extend your career a little bit, and make more money. It is what it is. It's huge money in the NFL. So we've got 2021 Trevor Lawrence, $899 for the PSA 10 Prism Silver here recently. Pop 126. So again, there's not tons of these out there, not lots of sales. And $899 is minus 57% going back 12 months. 2020 Joe Burrow, the curious case of Joe Burrow. They've started off awfully in Cincinnati. I believe they won Sunday, so I think they're 1-3 now. It's been a really tough go here to get started for the Bengals. Joe Burrow has been okay. This last game he played a little bit better, but his start to the season was pretty rough. $1,600 recent sale here. Pop 273 for the PSA 10 Silver Prism. Pretty flat, really. And this is what we've seen with Joe Burrow, though. So that $1,600 price is minus 1.5%. So it's pretty flat. It seems like Joe Burrow people are just holding on. You don't see kind of a race to the bottom, people getting out of Joe Burrow cards. Maybe they're in on those cards for a lot, or maybe they're not, and they're just like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to hold out. I think Joe Burrow's the guy. He has shown himself. Look, he has been really the only QB that has consistently beat Mahomes, Pat Mahomes, up until the last couple of years. He's had injuries, and they lost in the playoffs to the Chiefs. But Joe Burrow has been a guy that's been there, a guy that got a massive contract, and since then, it's just been a little bit of a fall off there. And of course, I'm not saying that Joe Burrow is not trying, but it's just I'm seeing a pattern here. Guys get big contracts and just a little bit less motivated, I think. 2019 Daniel Jones Silver Prism, much lower price point for Daniel Jones, $92. But this guy, I can't remember if he was the number 2 overall pick. I think Daniel Jones was the number 5 overall pick when the Giants took him back then. And I remember it being kind of a head scratcher. He's got the size to be an NFL quarterback, and he's got some mobile talent, but he just has never put it together in New York. He's had flashes of good play. He's been injured a lot. So this card, year over year, down 39%, pop 219, I believe is how I read it. But again, Daniel Jones being one of these guys, when people were speculating on that next QB, man, it's a minefield out there trying to figure out who's going to be that next QB. Even with guys that have had some success, it's been short-lived. Patrick Mahomes, really since 2017, the only 2 guys that have had success, Tom Brady, who's now retired, You've got Patrick Mahomes. Drew Brees had some success kind of ending out his career, but his arm pretty much was shot the last 2 years of his career. But really, it's Tom Brady, it's Patrick Mahomes since 2017 that have seen sustained success. It's been a tough go. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is starting to come back a little bit from his injury. Even with Rodgers, he's on the tail end of his career. You know, you can see that. Sam Darnold, the bright spot here, the surprise Vikings. The Vikings have come out looking really legit. Sam Darnold, this guy famously said in a press conference, hey, I was just seeing ghosts out there when he played for the Jets. He has, it looks to be, resurrected his career right after the Vikings took J.J. McCarthy. Is there going to be a QB controversy, a QB battle going into next off season? I know we're really, really early. We're only 4 games into the season, but Sam Darnold is showing that he is a good player out there. Baker Mayfield, another guy, resurrected his career down there in Tampa Bay. Unfortunately, my rival Tampa Bay Bucks, he's looking pretty good down there in Tampa. You've got other guys that have slid. You know, Will Levis is another one, but it's countless. You know, Deshaun Watson is an example. He hasn't been really hobby relevant for a couple of years since the scandal, but he has done nothing for himself to help. And it looks like the Browns just wasted a couple $100 million. So treacherous out there, treacherous when speculating on QBs. And really in modern football cards, that's most of what people are speculating on is the QB position. Will that continue? Will the money shift somewhere else? Will people go back to basketball or kind of do other things with their money as opposed to trying to buy into the next up and coming QB? We'll have to see how the hobby reacts. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.